Like we said, you'll be talking and you'll know that if the presence that you are pulled away from these bodies, there'd be no speaking. Therefore, the speaker that's behind the eyes and ears of all these different folks that I believe are different and separate is the same. I know, you just know. And therefore, there's no conflict. Somebody can say, hey, I don't like you. Okay, that's my own self in that form saying I don't like you, so that there can see if there's a reaction in this state. There's no thought. Somebody says, you know what, I don't like you very much at all. No thought, because no, I am somebody else being created. And if it gets a little bit personal and you're desiring to see that this I am somebody else, it's starting to arise in the silent stillness that you are, then mantra is used.
That erasing of oneself is, I think, that's so important.
Absolutely.
One time when I was leaving Mumbai, I asked Ranjiv, I think I mentioned this before, what to practice, It's kind of a stupid question after sitting there all the time. But anyway, I said, can you give me any advice? He said, yeah, practice I don't exist,
Yep.
Yep. Basically that's the whole thing in a nutshell, it's just erasing that somebody.
Yep.
Just erasing that. And that's all conceptual.
Yep. And with mantra in your daily experience, that's the key, because there can't be a separation of mantra and then my daily activities. It's like mantra through my daily activities until my daily activities are one and the same with the mantra, because there's not an I am somebody else, and it's just scenes with no content. I'm not pouring any content in. I'm here. I'm doing something. Another scene with different forms, and keep going and just listening and speaking, listening and speaking, listening and speaking.
Sometimes there's like a concern for others. Like, I was talking to this photographer today, and, he was telling me something about his story. And, there's, if it's just in a dream, there's nothing, there's sort of like a concern about, like maybe you can tell him something or whatever. But, I started to do that, but I noticed that he just didn't really, he was just really into his own story. So I just stopped, just let it go. But that arises too sometimes, but,
yeah. Like Maharaj says, how to respond, how not to respond, it's up to you.
Yeah.
But there's no force or pressure. Like a lot of times in social situations, somebody's talking and you immediately say, well, I have nothing to say, but I should say something so that this person thinks that I'm listening and we're carrying on the conversation. But it won't be like that. There's no self-consciousness of, how, or even if I'm telling a story and this person, whether they're listening or whether they're understanding what's being said or anything like that, it's not like that, because there's no I am somebody else. There's no self-consciousness that is going to somehow judge the outcome of what's happening.
Sometimes it's just, just being with the person, basically. I don't know. Just simply being there, basically. Being present to whatever they're saying, whatever, without trying to do anything,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Keeping empty, like it talks about, keeping empty so that you can be filled in the moment with whatever.
Yeah, just sometimes reflecting back, just so you say, oh, I hear you saying this,
Yeah.
Well, if that arises, if that's something, again, when you are empty, when you have cleared yourself and the selfless self is fully your experience, then there's nothing. So when you're speaking, it's just spontaneous speaking, and whatever's happening in the moment is exactly right.
No.
And you're not bringing any baggage of an I am somebody else into it, nor an outcome or anything like that. That's the true compassion. You're literally not separated from the one whom you're speaking to or who's speaking to you. There is no separation. Therefore, compassion is automatic because there's no separation between the two.
But that might take the form of some sort of, standing firm about something, because it seems sometimes like you get challenged to go against your conditioning. You know what I mean? If you're the kind of person who's always trying to please, the character's always trying to, please people or something, then, the awakeness might say, oh, why do I have to do that? And it might take a different form,
But see,
because,
there's no memory of a conditioning.
yeah,
There's nothing to compare it to. It's not like I've been conditioned to believe or do this, so I should react differently in this way. It's literally spontaneous. You're not even reacting or responding as a male or a female.
right,
It's just a spontaneous speaking.
right. And not censoring yourself in any, because that's
There's no thought.
right, yeah.
There's not. It's not like that. Because again, the compassion is that there's no separation. You're speaking to your own self. You're listening to your own self, but without even the thought of that, because there's no thought for you to be a listener listening. There is just listening, and there is just speaking.
Ramana Maharshi, I know that in talks, when I read those dialogues, oftentimes he wouldn't respond to a question. He'd just be in silence. He'd look out of the window or something, and then maybe sometimes he would later respond, or somebody said something or something happened. He said, "There's your answer," or he really wasn't shoving things around as if somebody.
Exactly.
It was just kind of like really happening. Yeah.
Because, and as Maharaja says, it gets, you see the fun in it. You're communicating, a two-way communication with your own selfless self through the projection. You are projecting. And all of this is projected. So you're dialoguing with yourself, and it's not just form of people. It could be activity going on outside. All of this is just relating. It's just projecting. It's only you. And you're seeing this deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, that you're just speaking and listening, and it's only you. That there is no other, there is no form, there is no I am somebody else, and therefore it's the space talking to space. And perceiving in different forms, speaking, but there's no urgency in anything, because it's only you. And think about, too, pride and all this. How are you going to have pride? It's only you. It's just you. Everything is you. Your boss is you. The people you meet on the traffic are you. The people you meet in the mall are you. Your customers are you. Everything is you. And it's just recognition in the projection at first, and then there's not even a recognition in the projection, because there's no point from where it's coming. It's just space. Space looking at hands with no identity that these are my hands. Just hands. Space looking at hands. Space looking at other things. Different various, and talking and all of this, but it's just you. And the person that you don't like is you, and the mind stream is the same, because it's all you. So the way that story is created in that other individual, so to speak, is the mind train that's identified with that I don't like them or they don't like me, and the seeming response based on a concept that is not true.
And that perpetuates the whole situation, because it's like, once you create that separation, then you know.
Because it's you, and you want to know yourself in a real sense, so you'll use the objects of the world to grind you.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of grinding.
Then there's a lot of you.
I know.
But I mean, I'm like, there's still a lot of I am somebody else if there's grinding, because you cease grinding when you cease being someone that needs grinding. Your world, it's just totally different, because there's no you, there's no protecting, there's no point of view, there's no, oh, I don't like this, or oh, I don't like this, or let me take a strong stance about this. It's an illusion.
Yeah.
Without thinking, without saying it's an illusion, this is seen. The entire world is projected on my spontaneous presence. I'm totally unconcerned with the world. Regardless of how terrible the world may be being told to me to be, it is not I am.